Well, first, Lindsay, I appreciate you being here, giving me the time, giving everybody the time. I'm really excited to get into this with you because your Instagram post today, like I just said to you before we started the recording, it fired me up because I was like, this is perfect. This is exactly what I want the day that we're getting on a conversation, because I think your point, which you said you were the biggest ASFX skeptic basically in the world. And I remember we talked for so long on Instagram and DMs with you just asking me little questions, trying to figure out more information because you were interested. And now, after being the biggest skeptic, you're probably the biggest believer and supporter of what we're doing and helping now coach other traders. So before we get into that, can you give everybody just a 30-second overview of who you are and everything like that?
So I'm Lindsay. I'm known as a mum boss trader on Instagram. And I have 3 kids at home. I'm in Scotland, UK, as you can probably tell. And I got into Forex back in January 2018. The reason for that was just so that I could be at home and have an online business that I could do around the kids and bring in that income that I didn't have.
Do you think that there's a lot of women out there that can relate to what you're saying? A couple kids at home trying to figure out how to make money online?
Absolutely. I think that there's a huge space for mums to come on board with this because of the online business, because you can really set your time aside and say, I'm going to trade these 2 to 3 hours in that space. And they're going to bring in that income that they're looking for instead of having to put their kids into childcare to go out to work.
Is timing the main thing that you think keeps a lot of, not even just women, just people in general, away from trading? Did you find that before even you were with the group before ASFX, was like timing something that was that like turned you off? You were like, I don't have the time for that. The kids are it's too much kind of thing?
Timing wasn't an issue for me because I think I knew the reasons why I was going into trading, and I could justify my time to get on the charts because I knew at the end what the end goal was for. You know, my goals and dreams would get answered eventually. Sure. And so I didn't really question my time. I just knew that I could work around it. Yeah,
absolutely. And that's kind of how I felt. So now in the position that you're in, if you could take us back a little bit to when you were with, I believe it was, we don't even need to actually mention their name just for safety reasons, but let's just call it the previous group before ASFX. Tell us about just about where, if you could look back on it, if you were up here and looking down on Lindsay and you were looking at yourself, where was your head at then versus now? Before we get into the technical side of trading, where do you see the most growth in yourself over the last 2 years, do you think?
For me, I think I was just dying. My dream was to be at home and be a stay-at-home mum. That was it. I wanted to get out. Before that, I was a medical secretary, and it never fulfilled me. Just never fulfilled me. So I've always had the drive and I've always had the ambition to do something and be successful. And I just never really knew where I was going to start with it. I went into network marketing and that didn't work for me. I just wasn't for me. And I was lucky enough that paths did cross again, which I always say is you're just lucky how your paths cross with other people. And they had spoke about bringing this female community together to bring in female traders. And I was like, she goes, and we're dying to have somebody in the UK because they were in the States. And she said, how would you feel about being one of our first girls to come in and really go through the paces? Mm-hmm. And I was like, I just thought this was something that you grabbed some information online, you learned it, and that was it. I didn't know I was going to get put through my paces. So I think that's why I have grown in quite a quick space of time into the trader that I am, because of the basics, the pace that I actually went through, because it took the courses then was about 9 months it took to get right through the courses. So it really went into the depth of the basic Forex knowledge. But at the same time, as I said to you, I just didn't find my edge with it. I just knew that I've heard people say you have to find that edge to fit your personality. Mm-hmm. And I didn't find that. Yes, I was having a good win ratio, but as I said, my losses always took out my wins because of that risk reward.
Take me then forward from that kind of inconsistency. Like, I'm sure, because I can relate to that so much, where you feel like you have put in so many hours and you feel like you have an understanding of the basics and you feel like you should be winning more than you're losing, like the profit should be moving up. Take us forward from that point to then finding ASFX, not jumping into ASFX, just seeing our group, seeing me on the internet for the first time. You're probably like, who is this guy? Like, what's going on here? Give us some.
Because I couldn't find my edge, I knew that my mindset and all that was there. I had the discipline. I had everything, and it was just the edge I was missing. So that's why I probably never gave up, was because I had everything else. I just needed to find the edge. So I knew I had to do my research online.
Sure.
And I actually think, I'm just trying to remember how I actually came up and I found you, but I actually think a successful trader, I'm trying to think who it was, Burns.
Yeah, Steve
Burns had tagged you maybe in a post and said, if you're really into Forex trading, you need to check this guy out. So I did that. I came straight onto your page and I was like, wow, there's loads of content in here. So I'm going to have to really take my time and get through it. And I really did stalk you. I'm going to be honest. I stalked you on your Instagram. I stalked you on your YouTube. And Gordon says, I keep hearing this guy's voice all the time, Lindsay. I'm like, I know, because I'm learning from him. I'm learning. So I stayed on and I watched. I had wee reminders when your YouTube video comes up. I'm on it. And I gained the knowledge. But so there's only so much knowledge you can take from free content, and you're never going to get the full puzzle. So I always knew there was a missing piece of the puzzle. I couldn't grasp it. And I think so many others out there are doing the same, and they're never going to grasp the full puzzle, because I think I started following you like in the summer of last year. And it took me like from the summer till January to really tell myself, Lindsay, that you need to just come off the fence.
Was that, going back to what you said, that you can only learn so much from free content? I feel like that's a big point. A lot of us do come into trading with all of that information on the internet. There's probably something out there that can, really help me make money, is what we all think. But I feel the same way. Whenever you invest in something financially, you always are going to, especially you pay for the thing that's a little bit more expensive. Normally, not all the time, but normally you get what you pay for, right?
Absolutely.
So what convinced you, or what showed you that you needed to take a step into actually putting some money into this, whether it was with me or with anybody else? What triggered that I need to invest in myself thought?
I knew I had to invest in myself to progress and to grow and evolve as a trader, but also I had been trading alone for like 6 or 7 months. And I knew I had to get out of that, because there was nobody holding me accountable for any of my mistakes that I was making. And although you can look at your mistakes, you don't always say I was wrong there and I shouldn't have took that trade or anything like that. So I knew that I had to get back into a community where I could be held accountable. And that was another reason why I did come off the fence, was because I wanted the community and I wanted the edge, but I also wanted the mentorship. And I knew that, obviously, if you're going to copy the cat, make sure you're copying the right cat. And I saw you had the success, and I was like, this is the cat I need to copy. So that was basically it. I just knew that going into 2020, I wanted to change it. So I had to make the change then. And that's why I probably did it in January, going into the new year. And
what do you think in January, if you look back to where you were thinking in January when you decided?
I think I had just put it off and put it off and put it off. I don't think there was actually any reason.
What triggered you to just say, I'm done putting it off? Like, what made you say, I'm not putting it off anymore?
Because I knew I wasn't growing. I wasn't moving forward in my trading.
Flat.
I was flat. I wasn't going backwards and I wasn't going forwards. I was just flat, not moving. So that account, my trading account, didn't move really anything. It went up and down and up and down and up and down. It was like level. Didn't do anything. And I knew that I couldn't go on for another year just not growing and not doing anything. I just went flat. So I was either going to
insanity, right? If you do the same thing over and over again and expect different results, isn't that the definition of being insane?
Absolutely.
Right.
I must have been insane for 7 months.
But it's not that we're insane. It's that I think a lot of people, and at least from my experience, are hesitant when it comes to this industry, and especially we're talking investing in trading, education, and investing in yourself. So now a lot of people don't even want to invest in themselves, let alone invest in trading education into an industry where they're going to potentially lose money. It's very, very far down.
I think in between that 6 to 7 months, so I had tried another strategy, and I had also got signals in between that. And I think for me, that did tip me over the edge, if I'm honest, to say,
really?
Do I really want to go in and trust somebody again with my money to not get the results? And that's out there. That is out there on Forex, in the industry of Forex anyway. We know that.
Yep.
There's lots of people take your money and sell you a course and see you later. You don't see them again.
Right.
And that's kind of how I was left after that experience. And that was obviously my first experience of that, because when I started out my journey, I started off on the right foot. In the middle, I kind of went over, because obviously it fell away. That community kind of fell away, and I had to try and find my own path. And the same kind of thing. You see things on Facebook, you see things on Instagram, you see mentors, flash cars, flash houses, flash this. That's when alarm bells did start to signal for me that they're just after your money.
Yeah.
And that I really need to find somebody more genuine, somebody real, somebody that I can relate to. And I think that back then was why I started to follow you on your Instagram, because I could see it was nothing to do with flash cars, flash houses, flash anything. It was just about teaching people how to trade the right way and have a successful strategy behind you. And that was why I did deep down come off the fence.
Because you hit that point of, I've had enough. You got fed up with the signals. I'm not trusting anybody else in my money anymore. I'm not going to do anything else other than actually put in the work that's probably required to get this. Because like, again, it's funny because I feel like we get closed off almost to the idea that there's not scams in other industries. There's scams in so many industries.
Yeah.
But when you're talking about trading, I think so many people instantly think scam. But one thing that you said already that stood out to me was you mentioned finding your edge, and you mentioned the community of ASFX. So don't mix those two yet, because I know that the edge, a part of your edge we've talked about is the community, and I agree with you. But separate the two. What do you think is the number one difference in your approach to your edge of how you're going to trade today versus a year ago?
I have rules now. I have exact rules of when I'm pulling the trigger. I didn't have that before.
When you look at those trades that you have those rules for, how detailed do you take that? Because even within our group, you know very well, some people choose to have rules and super detailed 8-page trading plans, and other people don't. So how detailed do you take it?
I try and keep it as simple as possible and follow the course's rules, because I think we don't want to reinvent the wheel. We want to stick to what's in the course, what's proven and tested. So for me, I just try and keep it as simple as I can, following the rules that I learned in the strategies. Now, I haven't really added anything to it or anything like that.
But I feel like that's part of why you found success with it, is because you haven't taken it. Really, what that is you're not letting ego in. When you let ego come in, it's like, I'm not trusting what he said. He gave me a good idea, but I'm going to add my own little thing. Like, literally, I'll tell you a story. When Riley and I started working together, she's sitting right here, so she'll laugh at this. She's already laughing at me. When we started working together, I would micromanage. I would have to come in and always have my say in it, right? So that's very, very, very similar. Before you get me off topic, because I'll get ranting, I want to just tie us back to one thing. Now, you mentioned how you found your edge in your rules, and you mentioned now how detailed they are. You like to keep it simple like me. We're not super detailed, but enough to get us to the point where we're not making emotional decisions every day with the money.
Yeah.
How did community change the edge? How did community maybe reinforce your edge here in ASFX compared to previous where you were at the other groups?
Because now I've got somebody to put chart markups into to get their honest feedback, and it's not just seeing it from two sets of eyes. And I can see it right, but I may have missed a flaw in it, and somebody else will see the flaw, and then they can tell me that, no, Lindsay, you maybe just missed this bit, and then I can learn and grow from that. Where before I didn't have that, so I was basically just looking at my charts, doing my trades, and trying to then review the same trades myself without anybody else's input.
Well, and that was the same issue that I would have, where I would take these trades and not hold myself accountable. I wouldn't analyze those test ideas. You know what I mean? So you run away from those things that are off your edge, even though you should have never even been putting those running shoes on in the first place, almost, you know? With the way that you now even are so open-minded to, hey, I'm making money, I understand what I'm doing, I have my rules, but I'm still going to be willing to take criticism. How big of a role do you think that again, that's no ego that you're showing, no ego, only willingness to learn. How do you think that has played a big part in your growth? Has it always been that way for you? Have you always been that detached from your ego, or have you had to work towards
No,
letting?
I've always been quite detached from my ego, I have to say. So I'm always happy to take the criticism and learn from it and move on.
Do you find that
'Cause
that's a thing that women are more, that women do more?
I think it is actually.
I
And
think
you
so.
know, me and Eleanor was actually talking about that today,
Yeah.
and she said the same. I think it's a woman thing.
Yeah.
I definitely think it is, and I honestly think that's how. And I'm not going to be big-headed here and have the ego, but how women could actually be better traders.
Oh, listen, I was just outside shooting a Q&A video, and I was saying if you took the percentages of males versus females of who becomes successful, I would fair to say the female percentage is a greater difference than the male. There's so
Yeah.
many males that try and fail, and there's still a lot that succeed. I just think there's way fewer women that try and fail
I believe that.
so
Mhm.
I think it's very, and I think it goes back to a couple of things we've touched on even in our call today. Number one was probably, I think the biggest thing, which is the detachment of ego, which is an interesting thing to take note of considering you were skeptical of ASFX, but it's like you weren't skeptical at first because of your ego. You were skeptical because of previous experience where you probably saw other people's egos get in the way because you've never had ego bother you. You've never been self-inflated. You're hesitant to then go believe anybody because you've seen it. Yeah, exactly. So now we're figuring that out. So that's definitely one piece. But then now add into that the accountability from a community. I feel like you even said to me before we started the call, how I answer everybody's questions no matter what. I do the videos every day and all that stuff. Other people, they charge for it. And like her brother's trying to convince me to charge for it and stuff. So it's like, I think that you need it. So it's tough for me to charge for it if we're really going to provide a service that's going to actually help people. It's like, that's what you need. And I think that's something that should come with it. But it's also because I love it, and I think you love it. And I think that's a big piece of this too. So I actually have I want your take on this. A lot of people have been asking me, if I think you need to lose money, like a substantial amount of money, before you learn how to trade successfully. Do you think that that's true?
No, because I haven't.
Yeah, that's literally, you're my example. I don't think it's 100% true. I think for a lot of men, it's definitely true. Men need to get the ego checked more than women.
Yeah, I
Exactly.
definitely believe that. And the amount of guys who have come onto my Instagram and asked me, how many times have I blown an account? I haven't blown an account.
Oh, you're the second one. I thought Gwendolyn was the only one. I didn't know you also never blew an account.
I've never blown an account. And
crazy. I don't even believe it, but I do. I definitely believe you. But that's, to me, it's just nuts because remember, like when I first started, nobody was trading Forex. No one was talking about it. They were all talking about binary options, basically. So I was like, okay, $100 in. Oh, I blew it. $100 in. Oh, $500 in. Oh, I blew it. Over leveraged, no risk management, no nothing. So to hear that coming from my experience, It's like, what?
And even my husband will say to me, Lindsay, I've blown 4 or 5 accounts for now. He's like, that's how I'm super proud of you. He says, because you've never blown an account ever. He says, we would have to remortgage our house if it had been me in front of that computer. But I just think that's a guy. I think it's a guy thing. I honestly think it's a guy thing.
It has to be. I think we're going to find out as I do more of these conversations with people. I think we'll see as I talk to women and men, we'll see, because a lot of the men are going to say, yeah, bro, you got to lose money to make money, bro. But a lot of the women are like, no, why would you do that? That doesn't make sense.
No.
It's crazy. It's an amazing difference. It's like, maybe we should have a woman running our country. They seem a lot more logical. The men are like, yeah, blow the mortgage.
So honestly, that's my husband. That's what he would do. We would be sleeping out in the street.
So with that being said, what do you think has led to, I'm actually going to phrase this a different way. Is it that you understand why you're trading that has kept you from over leveraging and going and being aggressive like that? What has kept you from blowing?
I think it has been, I think that that comes back down to your why and why you're trading Forex. And for me, my why is much bigger than me losing my full pot of money. And I know that my age and where I'm at in life, where am I going to go now? And if this was never to work out, where was I going to go and work to bring that fulfillment in for me and to bring it in for my kids and my family? I wasn't going to be able to do it. So I knew that this was my journey, this was my path that I was going to have to walk, regardless of how hard it got. And I think passion did come in there because I really truly found something that I love, and I get excited to be in front of that computer every morning. And I didn't have that before. I didn't have it. I was just, before that, I was a stay-at-home mum, just a mum. I'm not saying that just a mum's just a mum, but I was just getting up and doing my normal things, getting kids to school and just living that normal day-to-day life, where I can see now that I know it'll change and I've got something more to get up for and get in front of the screens, and you have more of a vision maybe.
But that's amazing. I mean, and now you probably understand then when I wake up before my alarm, it's the same thing. It's like when you really love what you do, it's like, why do I even want to stop? But that's amazing that you have that drive too. And I feel like even the women that are listening to this on YouTube and everywhere, they'll listen to that and be like, maybe I should do a little bit. It's almost like you want to do it for yourself. Like, I want to accomplish this for myself outside of I might be a great mom. I might be a great wife, but now I can actually be a contributing factor to our family financially, potentially too. And that's a big piece.
And that's where I struggled. I think I did. And I always said that to God, and I struggled on that piece because I was never contributing in, and all that pressure was all on him all the time.
Yeah.
And I knew what feeling I would get if I could contribute in, and then to eventually turn that around and bring him home, because that is my true goal.
And that was why, dude, that's amazing. And Riley and I can relate to that so much, because that's literally why when we got into this together, I was like, you're taking half of it. I want you to feel like it's yours, because I didn't want her to feel that way. I didn't want her to feel like she wasn't contributing or that she had to do more or less to just, so I definitely can understand that. With your support from your family, with your kids and your husband, do you find that has made an impact on your trading career?
Oh, truly. He is my biggest cheerleader. He always has been.
He should be.
Because he was like, I didn't have to do anything. I could just be that stay-at-home mum. But he knew that wasn't what I wanted to do. I did want to be home for my kids. Of course I did, full time. But I still wanted that something for me. That's something that I could work on. So when I had told him all about Forex, he's like, wow, Lindsay, you're really gonna do this? I was like, yeah, I just need the money. So he was like, on you go. So he has really supported me from day one.
That's amazing.
Yeah, he comes in from work, I go straight to the computer, I'm on the charts. He just knows. He's in sales, so he's very money driven.
Yeah,
he has very huge ambition for himself and for us.
Limited income in this, when he sees the potential in this, he's like, yeah, diversify. He's like, I'm going to keep making our money. You get this. We can make. That's exactly. I mean, it's crazy because this is what I'm finding. So many people in our group are like-minded. They have support from their spouse. They have that sales mindset, like you said, that money motivated mindset, not because you want all this nice shit, but because it gives you freedom. That's all it is. That's it. It's it. And so you can take care of your kids when they get sick. And that's what I tell her about. Like, you need those things aside and set away so you can live and breathe comfortably. But then it's crazy because so many people, like I was saying, are like-minded, where you want to work as a unit to build something bigger for your family. Like, her and I literally just purchased life insurance for the first time today. So it's like we're building out things and putting things in place to build for the long term. But I feel like so many people outside our group would look in and be like, you guys are such a power couple. Oh my God. But it's like, bro, like, this is how it should be. You should support each other. You should be on the same page. You should have that vision. You know what I mean? And it's funny because we don't get that, but people outside of it, they don't get that. It's fascinating.
No, and I've seen and spoke to people that don't have the support from their spouse, and that'll be incredibly hard, because I know that for Forex you need to put in all that, you need to put in the time. And I was lucky enough that Gordon does support me in my time, and he'll never say, oh no, you're not going back to that computer, or you're not going back to do the chart markups or whatever. He just like, go and do it.
Listen, Riley will tell me, she'll get on me. Did you do your chart markups today? Did you do it? Like, that's what I need. You need that.
He's kicking me out of bed in the morning. Lindsay, you said you wanted to stick to your morning routine. Up you get, because I do the same thing with her.
That's it. Exactly. I love it. This is awesome, Lindsay. This is, I think, a good place to end our conversation. We did a good amount of time here. So for everybody listening, we appreciate the time so much. Lindsay, can you tell everybody where they can find you?
They can find me on Mumboss Trader on Instagram.
Awesome. And I'm going to put all of her information in the description below. So again, everybody, we appreciate the time. Lindsay, thank you so much. And we will see you guys in the next video.
Yeah. See you later.